Hello, Army of Light Earth Division, the boots on the ground. It's Shawna L. Francis, and today is November 19th, 2024. Welcome, everybody, to this week's installment of Decoding the Living Word. We are channeling the Order of Melchizedek, Melchizedek being the authors of Revelation as well as Genesis. We are taking apart Revelation kind of chapter by chapter and really understanding this for a new day, a new age. We have entered a 1,000-year cycle that's going to get us to the end of the ascension, and the ascension being fully propagated here on the planet. Humanity ascended, Mother Earth ascended, and Revelation, really, we're learning here from Melchizedek, the folks who wrote Revelation. What does all this mean? How does all of this fit together? What does this mean for today? Last week we talked about the seventh seal and how this really is representing humanity finally on a mass scale, understanding that we are God, that God doesn't live outside of us, that we are Christ consciousness. So these are pretty lofty things that we're talking about here. Today we're going to talk about chapter 11, which it's just another one of these things where they spring this surprise on me, and then I get to make a video about it right away while I'm still trying to understand it and integrate it. So it's a weird one for me today, and it is difficult. And I have this cold and I don't want to start coughing. So I'm going to just go ahead and get into it. I don't mean to rush, but this is the third time I've had to restart this video because I get this massive coughing fit in the middle of this. All right, guys, so I'm going to get into what Melchizedek had to say about chapter 11 of Revelation. Dear ones, we thank you for allowing this brief absence while Shawna enjoyed some relaxation and recuperation. We would like to continue where we left off. Revelation chapter 11. Here we present two prophets. Chapter 11, verse 3, the Bible says, "And I will grant my two witnesses power to prophesy for 1,260 days, clothed in sackcloth. These are the two olive trees and the two lampstands which stand before the Lord of the earth. And if anyone should harm them, fire pours from their mouth and consumes their foes. If anyone would harm them, thus he is doomed to be killed." All right, that's the end of verse 4 there. Melchizedek. These are not just any two prophets assigned by the Lord to see this process through. Alas, these prophets live amongst you now. And their names are Paul Selig and Shawna L. Francis. We have made Paul aware of his greater role, where he has been and what he has done in other incarnations to be able to be to this point, helping with the ascension in the way that he is. He likes to dismiss it from a superficial standpoint, but deep inside it resonates. This dear one, learning about this aspect of her service for the first time, also resisting. Guilty. Your societies don't always support those who outwardly stand in their power. Delusions of grandeur, you say. Isn't that a shame? For there is certainly no way this could be true. The fact is, both Paul and Shawna resist their missions on some level, and they share in these sentiments with you. These belief systems are not outside of their experience. This dear Shawna will bring this message forward, but it will pain her greatly to do so. So much trust required for these paths, a surrendering in its most basic sense. She is allowing herself to be carried, and this has also been challenging on many levels. Even here we plant seeds, and the seeds will take some time to germinate. And they continue. There are some troubling visuals in these passages. What does this really mean for these two prophets? Let us help break this down. We've painted a picture of two people very much protected and extremely powerful. Chapter 11, verse 7. And when they have finished their testimony, the beast that ascends from the bottomless pit will make war upon them and conquer them and kill them. And their dead bodies will lie in the street of the great city, which is allegorically called Sodom, and Egypt, where their Lord was crucified. Dear friends, Shawna and Paul, our messengers for today, have indeed been in harm's way over many, many lifetimes and for different reasons. Paul doesn't have the same type of karmic balancing to carry out as Shawna, though Paul has been a shepherd of truth and he has fought bravely to bring much truth to humanity. When the truth that you seek to illuminate threatens a regime who has the whole of humanity in the palm of their hand, you face very big challenges. Challenging the status quo, challenging stagnant belief systems, challenging others to own their power. These are not easy missions, and many lifetimes have been required to allow the continuing flow of disruptive information to be seeded into consciousness. Anyone who stands tall as a beacon in the light is a threat to this regime. This includes those of you who watch these videos. For Shawna, the threats and the dangers are different. She has boldly and defiantly left that regime to actively fight against it, and they take notice. Shawna's act of defiance is not well tolerated, and as has been mentioned previously, this regime makes sport out of creating this soul's demise in each and every lifetime. Yeah, so through the halls of Amenti and the Ark of the Covenant, I have been shown many lifetimes where they have taken my life. Usually it's in grand fashion. They make a big deal out of this. And usually it has to do with taking my head off. So this is part of what has been my experience as a soul, an angel in training here, working on behalf of the light. And so, yeah, like I said, I'm just kind of learning this for the first time, being mentioned again in the Bible like this, and understanding what does this mean to be labeled a prophet for Melchizedek, along with Paul. And this is so strange to be speaking about Paul, too, in this way. I asked Melchizedek about it several times. I say, this is good, everything's fine, and we are also working with Paul at this level. Okay. And they continue here. So protected are you both, that you are able to be our scribes, be the powerful messengers, amassing your followers, those who are meant to hear our messages. These communities are growing in number, in power, and in light. The regime watches from afar, but is unable to do much about it. The stakes are higher for Shawna than for Paul, for these and other reasons. Therefore, we work quite differently with Shawna, especially now that Shawna knows who and what she is in truth, and thereby recognizing just how powerful she can be, a formidable threat to this regime. While we all do what we are able to protect these dear ones from harm, the threat is very real. The stakes are incredibly high. We don't expect either of these lives to be cut short at the hands of the negative reptilian regime. That being said, all precautions are being taken, and we are discouraging any risky or potentially dangerous activities. Yeah. A few weeks ago, I had mentioned that I want to get the book done and go on a big book tour and be talking about this to folks. And Melchizedek here just a couple weeks ago are saying, probably not a great idea. Like, let's see what we can do with the virtual launch and then play it by ear. But that, it may put me at unnecessary risk. And is it really worth it? Can we have the same amount of splash and the same amount of dissemination of information without some kind of a physical tour? So we talk about these things. All right. For this one here, they said pain and suffering are to be inflicted by words, character attacks, also censorship and suppression of information. Through Shawna, more controversial and damning information is forthcoming. She is ready for this, as are you, her closest constituents. So the prophecies will continue, information will continue to flow, controversial happenings and events will continue to transpire, all with great care and deliberation. We work with Paul to bring a similar level of understanding. Yeah, they've talked for years now about these personal attacks that are to be coming. I think people are mostly been really respectful, and there's just been a few, but this is still supposed to be coming. All right. Sorry I'm rushing, guys. I just don't want to be coughing. We are sinking quite deep with all of you now that the veil has been lifted. The masks have come off. The eyes are open. The heart is receiving. Things will continue to move quite briskly. Time condensing, dear ones. Just allow this to happen. Let your need to control time fall by the wayside. Now more than ever, be in universal acceptance for what is. Bring your full self into the now, into the present moment. Strive to stay here. The distractions will be plentiful. As long as there is an audience, as long as there are ears to hear and eyes to see, the negative reptilian regime will continue to shovel their darkness out to the masses, to be gobbled up by the unawakened who unwittingly participate in a program meant to stifle and subjugate. We send each and every one of you love, the unawakened, the awakened, and everything in between. All right, so that was it. That was it for tonight's channeling. I don't know, guys. Yeah, I guess it's one thing to be a channel. It's a whole other thing to understand that the people you're channeling knew about you so very, very long ago, and that this would be happening, and they went ahead and wrote it into the Bible. Chapter 11 is quite intense, actually. I do have more questions for Melchizedek, but tonight's not the night. But let me know what you think. How does this resonate? Paul and myself, Melchizedek's prophets. I guess that rings true. But again, just hearing it articulated in the Bible is really tough. Really tough for me to stomach that. All right, guys, I'm going to nurse this cough and let you all go for the night. Thanks again for being here. I do expect to see you next week. I hope you're all doing amazing, doing well. Again, team, we're being asked to allow whatever is happening. We want to be in universal acceptance, going with the flow, being that beacon of light. Time continuing to compress, and it'll be just flying by, and just not to resist that, but just allow it. And we're going to be much better off if we try not to fight that. All right, guys, thank you again for being here. I love you. Mwah.